Alright, we are back for part 3 of Assassin's Creed 2 Book versus the Game. And we're going to get into the Pazzi Conspiracy. What I do want to touch on before I start is that a lot of the characters, the ones that are considered NPCs in the game, actually do have names. They're just not really given names in the game, I guess to save time and to also just, give them that point of being NPC. Pretty much follows the game almost word for word. There's certain differences that happen. Like you go to Leonardo's workshop, you actually go inside, you actually see what is actually going on inside from the book's point of view. But everything pretty much stays game and book accurate until one point. Ezio begins to deliver the letters that his father asked him to. You get the names of a lot of the characters. This character right here has a name. I'm not particularly sure what it was. I completely forgot. But the book starts to skew a little bit more from the game. Actually, after you meet this gentleman here, and then you actually meet the thief and the quarter son, who actually you end up meeting up again after the auditory execution. The thief in this actually ends up helping Ezio out as he's fleeing the guards from the execution. He ends up saving Ezio's life by stopping the guards and giving him back his sword, which he lost in the fight. Ezio even goes into greater detail, actually giving off the smell. The character seems to be smelling of onions and garlic in this. In contrast to the mercenary who he meets, who he actually says actually smells good and actually is clean shaven, which is surprisingly for the 1500s a very, very different type of thing. When Ezio gets back to his home, the house is pretty much destroyed, and then Annetta, the housekeeper, actually tries to use a candlestick to actually kill Ezio in the game. But Ezio in the book actually grabs her and almost unalives her by accident in self-defense. Ezio, once he meets up with Claudia and his mother, Claudia is actually covered in blood and her dress is actually torn, and given the fact that she has fought off these guards for trying to take her brothers, and Ezio is not able to describe the look of his mother, that other than the fact that she's in shock as she's holding Patricio's box, which she was given to him days before. So this whole period of time between when Ezio meets up with Christina all the way up to the fights and everything is a period of a couple of days, not an afternoon. When he goes to meet his father, he actually goes up to that room and actually speaks with him directly face to face and gives him the same instructions he does in the game. And then the guards actually come to take Giovanni away. They say they're taking him away for questioning, which is key word for they're going to torture him. Ezio then climbs back down. He does not drop into a haystack. Again, in the book series, he does not do leaps of faith off of high buildings. He actually climbs down, but he climbs up the edge to get a bird's eye view. So Eagle Vision is described as something different in the book. It just shows that Ezio has a sense that he can actually see some things, that he has a very detective type of mindset. He actually finds the chest and actually gathers everything in there. The documents that Ezio finds are actually documents that have all the names of the conspirators that you find out in Assassin's Creed lineage that Giovanni has for his list of those that are plotting against all of Florence and all of Italy. When Ezio begins to leave the house, he actually runs into two guards who attempt to unalive him. Ezio ends up beating them, but he's in complete shock afterwards because this is the first life that he has taken, that he is visibly shaken by what he has done. He catches himself, he gathers himself rather quickly and begins to head towards Alberti's house, but he is still shaken by the fact that he just took a life. Once he returns to Alberti's house, he actually goes in the house. He doesn't stop at the door. He actually goes into the house, and he actually sees the shadow of the Spaniard there in the house. Alberti asks him if he wants to stay like he does in the game, but he ends up going back to Christina's house to stay until the next day. So when Ezio actually gets to the trial, he notices that the gallows have already been built and the noose is already hanging down, but Giovanni and his sons are not there. They get sentenced on the offside, and then they're each brought one by one, and they are unalived individually. Ezio actually has to watch this, and he gives in great detail about what is happening the whole time, and it's actually pretty terrifying. His father, however, goes up to the gallows and speaks dignified to Alberto, telling him that we're going to get you for what you're done. And he goes there, and as he's unalive, he holds his head up proudly, and Ezio is in complete shock. He actually runs up and yells "Father" like he does in the game. As I said before, the thief actually ends up helping Ezio. Ezio gets chased away by the guards, and they manage to catch up to him. This thief actually runs up and actually dispatches the guards and gives Ezio his sword back and helps him escape from the rest of the guard. When Ezio ends up meeting Paola, he's pretty much in a very, very fervent state. He's very, very angry. He wants to take out Alberto, but Paola cautions him and tells him, like, hey, stay here, learn what I'm going to teach you, and you'll actually be able to do what you need to do. And it takes Ezio several days to learn all these maneuvers that she's been teaching him. Several days. And then finally, she approves of him to actually do it. She teaches him how to steal, how to pickpocket, pretty much everything he needs to learn to get close to Alberto. She then gives him his hidden blade back, the broken one that she actually took, by the way, and tells him to go meet up with Leonardo. Now, to me, this is one of the funniest scenes that they actually ever did in the game. Leonardo ends up preparing Ezio's father's hidden blade. Leonardo actually gets assistance repairing the hidden blade. He does not repair it himself. He gets help from the assistants that actually work in the workshop with him in order to repair Ezio's hidden blade. He then begins to joke with Ezio as he does in the games and pretends to cut his finger off. But this time, Ezio puts the blade on his right hand, not his left, because he's still worried about using the weapon, especially the way it shoots out of its mechanism. So as you can see, it's on his left hand. He carries that for the future of the games on his left hand, but the majority of the time he wears it on his right until he gets the other second blade from Leonardo. So when you start this mission, you appear up on the rooftop so you can hear Alberto and Lorenzo talking, but Ezio's actually in the crowd, disguised as this conversation is happening. He's not on the rooftop, so he's not able to hear. He's actually among the crowd, walking with them, hidden as they're having this conversation. So he's actually extremely close. When I tell you, the book goes into great detail on how Ezio actually takes out Alberto, it's pretty graphic. You pretty much just go read the book for yourself. Just trust me, because I don't want to get canceled. But it's pretty graphic, and then Ezio stands up in his normal sense he does in the game and actually says, I'm here, Ezio Auditore, all that good stuff. One thing to also note is that Rodrigo Borgia is actually there and present when Ezio takes out Alberto. He is seen in a quick little line that says that the cowl of a hidden figure fades off into the darkness. That's literally Rodrigo Borgia walking away as he watches Alberto get unaligned by Ezio. We reached the end of part 1 of the Pazzi Conspiracy book versus game. Next part 2 will be up later on.